Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Welcome to the landing party on this stardate 2507.02. I'm your host, Graham Nolan, and today we are discussing episode 58, The Paradise Syndrome. It was written by Margaret Arman and directed by Judd Taylor. The Paradise Syndrome brings Captain Kirk back to his Horatio Hornblower roots as a man driven by ambition and burdened with command, who deep down longs for a simpler life. Roddenberry also explored this concept with Captain Pike in the original pilot, The Cage. Margaret Arman's original story was much bigger and would have cost a fortune in special effects. From her outline, quote, "Unlike its meteor-scarred neighbors, this world is green and unscathed. The sky is streaked and illuminated constantly by meteor action, which gives the effect of a 4th of July celebration. Frequent collisions with the asteroids keeps planetary systems in this sector in constant disruption, and no life-supporting planet has hitherto been known." This is, in a nutshell, explains the need for the obelisk and its repulsor ray power and how it has saved this planet and its transplanted inhabitants. The episode, as filmed, does a good job explaining its need, but it does seem a bit random. Salish in the original version is a warrior next in line to be chief, and not the son of a medicine priest who had died before sharing the obelisk's secrets with his heir. He fights Kirk for the hand of Miramonte, but once defeated, accepts his role and isn't the jerk we see in the film version. As time passes, by the way, that takes place over a period of months. Kirk marries Miramonte and she has his child. When Spock and the landing party returns, Korak, I should say, believes they are invaders and leads a group of warriors against them. Kirk and Spock and the Indians beam up to the Enterprise, where Kirk is sedated, and the warriors become submissive, thinking they are in the presence of gods. Kirk awakens and is about to thrust a knife into Spock's chest when his memory returns. Pretty convenient. Together, they beam down to the underground chamber, reactivate the reflector beam, and save the planet. The Indians are returned with Miramonte and her child included. At this point, the outline says, quote, "Their child, imbued with a heritage from two worlds, will carry on the Mohican culture and pass it intact to succeeding generations, just as the vanished super race planned it." Kirk passes his chieftainship to Salish. He knows the fine young warrior will lead and protect both the tribe and Miramonte. Sadly, Kirk returns to the Enterprise and orders the ship away from the planet. He knows a part of him, the part of man that is always pagan, I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean, will always remain behind, and that a poignant longing for the idyllic life of the noble savage will never leave him. Some of the original outline is great, and I wish they could have filmed. Others are less so, sort of like that last sentence that I read, and I can see why it was changed. Even though director Judd Taylor brought the production in on schedule, it was, however, over budget. With just 3 episodes into the 3rd season, they were already $21,208 in the red. This sounds familiar, right? Every season, they're over budget. This is the only episode of the 3rd season filmed on location outside of the studio. Because of budget restrictions, they had to do everything on set. Matt Jeffrey's obelisk is the largest, most expensive prop in the series. And that and the Indian village is what pushed this episode over with the cost overruns. Producer Fred Freiberger felt that the episode lacked both action and adventure. However, William Shatner rated it as one of the third season episodes as extremely good. All right, my friends, that is your Captain's Log. Let's bring in the rest of the landing party. I am Aeronok!
Kirk!
And Quiramani and Kirk. What Ron makes me say, my friend.
Ron.
Come on, Ron.
Come on, Ron. Keep it real, will you?
I just want everybody to know that I saw Ron this weekend. We were together at New Jersey Comic Fest or Garden State Comic Fest. We had a little interaction. We had some ponfar. And I'm not sure, but I think one of us is pregnant. So we're just going to have to count the months and see how that goes.
Getting the willies. We're both pregnant.
We're both pregnant.
How it is on our planet. You know, it's not surprising that Kirk or that Shatner think this is one of his favorite third season episodes, because the guy, I mean, he directed Star Trek V. What more do I need to tell you? This episode stinks, and I don't even know where to begin.
Okay, well, begin.
Okay, first of all, there's some serious scenery chewing in parts of this by our good friend Bill Shatner. I think the whole, I mean, I actually kind of like the idea of like the Indians being, I know, love and all the stuff inside his head. Oh my God, I can't stand that.
That inner monologue was added because Freiberger felt that Shatner wasn't expressing himself properly, so they added the monologue.
I thought the direction was poor. I mean, there was some shots in there, that handheld camera crap. Do you guys remember? It was like, what is he doing? It was all shaky, and there was just a couple of random handheld shots in there for no purpose. It just drove me nuts. And then Kirk is a guy. Just stop me at any time. Kirk is a guy who has lost his memory. Ron. Kirk is a guy who's lost his memory, doesn't know who he is. He gets the idea that they think he's a god, but he clearly doesn't believe himself to be one. And yet he just willingly gets married to this chick and knocks her up and it just seems so random in the decisions he made. I got more.
Well, but I mean, if you don't know who you are, I mean, he's not really responsible so much for these decisions, because he just starts to believe it because he doesn't even know how he got there, who he is, or what, you know, and they say temple. So I'm not defending it, but it seemed to me like they were looking for, like, with the scene of him walking along, you know, with the sparkling lake in the background, him thinking about all this crap. Seemed like they were just looking for filler because they didn't know how to fill the story for a full hour, you know? So, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of action, like you said, except for this little love triangle, you know, love story with, you know, but
a lot of the drama actually takes place on the Enterprise, as Spock has this, you know, this guilt complex over crippling the Enterprise, you know, in his effort to get back and save Kirk, you know. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, but you know what I didn't understand about that was, like, what exactly did he do that made the ship break down? It just like seemed like, oh, we're out here in space. No, it's not. You're going to blow up the different crystals. And you're like, what did he even do? He hadn't done anything yet, and the ship was already falling apart. So
he was pushing it like at warp 9 for the whole time to get out there earlier, you know, and then putting all the power into the repulsor ray or whatever it was called.
I will say, once again, Spock is the more interesting character in this particular episode. I just found it fascinating, him sitting there trying to decipher the, you know, the hieroglyphics or whatever they were. You know, that would be a real hard thing to do, especially with the way those they just look like slashes, and there was nothing really to go on, you know. but he finally kind of figured it out. I liked his commitment. Like he wouldn't eat or anything. He's just staring at it and staring at it. Just love the concentration and everything. So I'll give it an up for that.
Yeah. He was almost obsessed, Spock, with getting back to find the captain.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. It showed his friendship, his loyalty, all of that. And yet he still had the burden of the command of having to try and save this planet, by either splitting that thing or using the repulsor ray, or I forget what they called it. I'm going to call it.
How great would it have been if when Shatner's up there and he's like, "I am Kirk," and the storm's coming.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden Apollo shows up on the same platform, like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
And looks at him and go, and just is like, you summoned me again, mortal, or something. You could just see him, and then they'd have something really to bow to.
Yeah.
That scene, as you said, Aaron, that there was a few scenes of scene chewing. That scene had a lot of calories because I can't.
That's why it's Shatner's favorite, because he's got a god complex.
Yeah, probably true. And the other thing that kind of ticked me off when Miramani gets up there and gets stoned to death, right? And they're
stoned to death. They're throwing boulders at them. Did you see the size of those stones?
I know, but she took one on the back of the head. You saw the kill shot, so I do appreciate that. It wasn't just like a bunch of random, styrofoam balls being thrown up there, and she goes, she took a shot to the back of the head, and that I assume what killed her. But
I didn't notice that.
He is sitting there in the tent at the very end, right? And he's kind of like, I don't know. He did not. His grief to me was not. He lost not only his wife but his child, and he just handled it a little too easily for me. And then also the whole freaking town tried to stone him and killed his wife and child. He would have been a little pissed, I would think. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I felt like they had to get out of that episode. They ran out of time, and
they ran out of time though. Like they ended it on a sort of a tender moment where he's just looking as she's dead in his arms, and he's just staring at her. So I don't mind that ending so much.
I thought the ending.
I agree. Had it continued, he might have, taken the Enterprise's phasers and just wiped them all out.
Well, it's one of the few episodes that ends on a poignant note without the hey, ha, 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 on the bridge. It's also one of the only episodes Captain Kirk is never on the bridge.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't, for all its flaws, I didn't mind. I liked the ending for the most part.
Yeah.
I like the old man. I don't like Rudy Nebra's character at all. It just seems so petty and stupid.
Rudy Nebris,
or whatever his name is, Rudy something. Rudy, what's his name?
Who, the actor?
Rudy Nebris is the bodybuilder. I'm sorry, I'm confused.
No, Rudy Nebris is the artist.
He's an artist.
Oh, I'm getting all these Rudys. What's the guy's name?
Well, the actor's name is Rudy Solari.
Rudy Solari, thank you.
There you go.
There's another Rudy who's a bodybuilder, a black guy who I thought his name was, but I guess it's not the comic artist. Yeah, it was the comic artist.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Graham and I are going, what? Rudy Nebra? Don't you mean Pablo Marcos? Oh,
Marcos Martin.
I didn't believe any one of them was an Indian.
Maybe the old guy a little bit.
Maybe the old guy, but they all looked like they came out of Little Italy. They had landed in this little Italian village. They should have just gone with that motif. Maybe stone them with pasta.
I like the concept. It's just I just think the execution wasn't enough. I think for an hour show. I mean, I feel like there needed to be more gravitas to it. I mean, him walking out of there, and I mean, I get it. I just feel like it wasn't emphasized enough. There needed to be more. Like I said, I like the concept. There just needed to be something more to him. Like if they had seen him come out or beam in there or something, I don't know. But for him just to walk out from them, just to believe he's the god who came out of the temple was a bit of a stretch.
Remember how in Shore Leave, they kept showing the captain, like right from the beginning, he's really tired, and he's rubbing his eyes a lot. And then the yeoman comes and rubs his back, and he thinks it's Spock. And then there's the point where everybody's beaming down, and Spock says, hey, there's one crewman that refuses to go to shore leave, and his efficiency ratings are down. Well, you can order him down on my authority. And he said, what's his name? He goes, James Kirk. So they set that up that he was really tired and needed a vacation, and yet this thing starts with them beaming down. He's all, Tahiti. He's in the Tahiti syndrome where he's like, oh, green grass. And, we don't get a real sense of depth of why he's so, in need of that,
Well, I think it's pretty self-evident, though. I mean, when you're on a starship with just these colored bland walls with no windows that would drive, even though they're a crew of 400 something,
430,
it would drive everyone crazy. Especially those sets. Imagine being in there 24/7.
Well, that's what the writer came about with the story was, she said, I can't imagine being in a spaceship for months at a time, and what it would be like to go on to land, that was Earth-like. Right. But it's not the first time they've been on land that's Earth-like. Every freaking episode, they've been to Chicago, they've been to Rome, they've been to, an Air Force base, they've been to,
how much time is in between these occurrences, you wonder,
right.
Is it, you can go by the star dates, but who the hell pays attention to the star dates so much?
Yeah.
Well, they made them up, so there was no continuity.
There was no continuity there anyway.
Yeah, so how much time in between, him being on that planet versus the previous episode, and are the episodes supposed to be in order of how they supposedly happened in space, like? You know what I mean? Like last week versus this week. Were they in sequence? These?
Well, no, because they broadcast them out of sequence of filming, so that can't be.
No, but in their world, in their universe, did it happen in sequence? Like the week. What did we do the week before?
Elan of Troyes.
Elan of Troyes. Yeah. Was that a month before this, or was it before this?
Right.
Is that ever established anywhere in the?
No.
So you don't know where it's placed.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they had been on the ship for a few months by the time this rolled around. So,
I just didn't think.
You're kneeling.
Go ahead and read your super chat, Graham.
You're kneeling. William Shatner. Come on, Ron. Aaron Lopresti.
Come on, Ron. That same dude in my last show just said I suggested I should make a hat that says "Come on, Ron" on it.
Oh, that would be great.
We should make
that on your next campaign.
Yeah,
we should certainly make a shirt that has Shatner's face going, and now you're kneeling.
No.
You're not sitting on the couch.
Who is this? Who?
Who is he? Who is this?
That's the money shot right there.
And he's not even looking at me; he's just pointing right in my face.
Who's he?
Anna might be showing up. She has her husband's got something going on tonight that she needs to be a part of. So she may be here a little bit later. And Russell Hall for $5 says you guys should do another version of this show reviewing episodes of the OG Batman series. Ooh.
No way.
You know what I thought about? When we run out of Star Trek episodes? Seriously, Twilight Zone, because I know you guys are big fans of the Twilight Zone, and I haven't seen enough of those episodes that it would.
We're actually, Graham and I were talking about that the other night.
Yeah.
So it's a possibility we might.
It's a possibility. Yeah. We'll have a meeting and we'll discuss.
Yeah, just include me so I can go. Come on, Ron.
Case in point, one Aaron Lopresti.
Yeah. Aaron Lopresti, a man out of
his
time.
Sexual fervors and his dignity is about to find out that the two are not so
Fiction methods on board. He'll make another database spreadsheet if that happens.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
a lot, but that's a long one because that show was on for a lot longer.
Yeah. What did it start in 59?
It's like 5 seasons, I think, right? It's 5 or 6 seasons.
That's job security, boys.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we should do that and then start and make T-shirts and sell them on air or something.
there you go. That say, "Come on, Ron," right?
Let's say, come on, Ron.
Right. Come on, Ron. Come to the landing party.
I happen to agree with Graham though on this. I didn't buy that Kirk suddenly. It just seemed that was very un-Kirk-like to me for him to kind of be wishing for green grass, and that's just not a Kirk-ism that I buy into very easily.
Why?
Especially
Remember what he
enough
did
setup.
with Helen on shore leave? He was totally into it. Why would he not be into green grass? I don't agree with you there, Aaron.
I don't care with you, Ron.
Just a human being. I mean, he's not,
I know, but
Oh, but I mean, anybody's
like
going to
force
feel
that
that
out.
way, and he's been on grass many times, and it just to reinforce it. It would have been nice if maybe McCoy had said to Spock, after that last, event or whatever, gave some type of backstory to why this particular time he's feeling overwhelmed by the need for it.
yeah.
This one reminds me of that other episode, speaking of McCoy, where he falls in love with that high priestess and they have to blast the asteroid.
Well, yeah. For the world is hollow, and I've touched the sky. One of the most
That guy
protected.
with that little gem in his head, and he's
Yeah, I like that one.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
the effects on it were pretty good. I remember loving the asteroid on that. The side lighting, and thought it was really well done. It was. I will say, by this season though, the effects look like they upped a bit.
I can't agree more. I think like the Enterprise in particular never looked better. Like they had some of those shots. And I think you'll see it in the next episode, the Enterprise incident, where it's sort of like a 3/4 close up of the Enterprise, and it's like revolving like this, but the nacelle is right there in front of it, and you can
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah,
you see how it's revolving and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah,
but you get a sense of depth, like of mass. It doesn't look like a model. It looks like it looks like there's mass to this thing.
yeah. When the Enterprise is coming forward, you're right, absolutely right about that. It's no longer the blue-looking kind of modelish look, but when it's gray and it's coming forward through that murky space, it really feels massive.
Yeah,
Something about the angle they use, the perspective,
and the lighting. I think they
the
lit
lighting.
it differently too.
Yeah, I think it's weird. I wonder if that was just from experience, or they spent the summer working on the effects, or
Yeah,
it definitely seems like a jump in the effects department, at least in this season.
which is funny because they had no money, no extra money. In fact, they had a lot less money.
It's funny when I was watching this episode and I saw the obelisk again. It was really so I'm looking at that obelisk, and they had like long shots of them standing around it. That thing was massive, and I thought, is that like a structure in a park someplace that they redressed? I mean, certainly they didn't build that for this episode because it must have cost a fortune.
Yeah,
So I was stunned when you said that. I was like, whoa.
Not only that, but it was on all 4 sides.
Yes.
I mean, it had the writing and everything. It wasn't like just a false back or something like that. They built the whole damn thing. And
you'd be
it shows.
surprised
It looked great.
if you really look close at it, because I remember looking close at it, like during one time when I had seen it, and you can see that it's like plywood with something over the top, and it's just spray painted. But it still is a great effect, I mean, it's a kind of ahead of its time design, I think.
I didn't notice that when I saw it in the HD version today.
I didn't either, but I
It
still
was metal and looked
whatever it was made out of, it was still.
it
cost
definitely
money.
worked. It definitely worked. It was a handsome design, I thought.
Yeah, Matt Jeffrey, and then the thing that the floor piece that rotated, the sound effect that that it sounded like it, and it moved like it had weight to it. It didn't look like it was like a piece of wood on a dolly that kind of like moved a little bit. It had,
think about it at the end where they're stoning them to death, and behold, a god who bleeds, and he's got that freaking Cagney,
Yeah, good old Rudy Nebres.
Rudy and Everett, whatever. Rudy,
Good old
whatever.
Rudy Giuliani, you know.
Good old Rudy.
But then I always got a kick out of how they're doing that. And they're saying, you know, like he's fake and all this, and then all of a sudden Spock and McCoy beam in.
Yeah,
Like they probably shit their pants, and then they scurried away like little chipmunks. Like
Right.
they're probably saying back at the tribe, like, "Oh my God, we really messed up."
yeah.
He was a god.
Yeah, we shouldn't have stoned Kirk
And
after
they go
all.
and grab Kirk, Kirok, and bring him down into the thing or whatever. Or did they go back in it? I think they did, right?
Yeah, they go back in it to you know.
To
I
readjust.
like the part where he tells Kirk that these are musical things. He says, "Do you know how to play it?" You know, and he starts going into this this whole explanation, and Kirk says, "Spock, do you know how to what button to press?" You know.
He goes,
And he
"Yes,
goes,
Spock, just
"Whoop."
press
He
the button."
pushes the first button.
Yeah, boink.
Zzz.
Yeah, not even. I mean, it's not like there's it's just boink.
Right. It's not like there's a code like you got to press this one first.
And
that
it's
one
not
first.
really a very complicated looking mechanism, there. It's just a bunch of those jelly bean buttons.
Well, they put all the work into getting in. Once you're in, just push the button, man.
It's true.
Getting in is hard.
But what was the point of him, when he got his head caught in there and he's getting electrified? What was the purpose of that for the machine ultimately, not just to wipe someone's memory?
Right.
What was the purpose of that? Was it just a defense mechanism?
Well, he did mention that he must have hit something out of order or something like that. I think was kind of the throwaway line, kind of indicating that don't do it right, and there's some sort of defense shield.
Yeah, it must have had to be a defensive thing.
Yeah.
Like,
They didn't really explain it very well.
Originally, he falls and bumps his head, and that's how he gets it. And I think
at least that's better. This is better. Yeah.
Yeah. He said we need a more sci-fi type of thing for why he loses his memory.
Look, no matter what, Miramati had some great legs. She was a beautiful.
Did. I noticed
Oh,
that.
she had some
really
gorgeous
nice
legs, didn't she?
Oh, she was gorgeous.
Yeah, she was a Playboy bunny.
No,
There you go. There you go, Ron.
Yeah. And she was in Easy Rider.
Ron, I'm all about Playboy bunnies.
Yeah. She was in the Easy Rider, and she went. And
was she an Easy Rider?
Yeah,
Easy Rider.
Yeah, she's the chick on the back of Nicholson's bike.
Is she really? Got to go back and look. Her hair's not the same color because isn't she more blondish or something?
Probably. Yeah.
Well, she had an Indian wig on, Ron, for this episode.
Oh, and also let's not forget the elastic
dyed hair.
Indian headbands made of elastic.
And they look like they were made in like Arizona at a pawn shop.
Yeah. One of those cheapo Indian, souvenir shops.
Yeah, that's where they got
like
it.
Turquoise looking.
And, the one thing I actually did like about this episode was that whole idea of these, what do they call them, the protectors or something? This alien race that was picking up and replanting, because that explains the whole humanoids thing in a nutshell. Like, why would a bunch of Indians be on this planet? And that explains why. So I thought that was a nice little touch.
It's another thing where Star Trek, takes and mimics Earth. I mean,
but at least they had an explanation for it.
Well, they sort of tapped into that with Apollo too, that the gods, had gone to Earth,
Right.
So there was that similarity there that we had learned and that chariots of the god type stuff.
Yeah.
It's the same type of thing.
Ron 6, the undiscovered Nolan.
Yeah, I know. That's for $2.
He's on a roll. Adds 80.
Come on, Ron.
All that means is the undiscovered Nolan is that he hasn't come out of the closet yet.
Well, apparently,
I'm like Norm Macdonald. I'm deeply closeted.
Deeply closeted. Yeah. What? So you mean you're gay? What? How dare you?
No, hell no. I'm straight. Well, you said you're deeply closeted. Well, what does closeted mean? I'm afraid to say that you're gay. Well, I'm not afraid to say that I'm gay.
This is brilliant. Absolutely.
Well, you know,
Ron
you guys,
McDonald's the best.
there is this photograph floating around the internet of you guys that makes you a little questionable. I'm just saying. So,
What photograph?
the pond far.
No, that's not floating around.
Oh, it's
No, it
floating
is
around.
now.
There it is. There it is again. It's floating around the internet.
It's a terrible picture of me.
Yeah, well,
Well,
Ron.
I'm no prize in that picture either. So
We're in such ecstasy.
Well, it's all about
You look
the
more
pond
like
far.
we're constipated more than anything.
Yeah, it's more about the pond far than
You
the
needed to be there, Aaron, so you could do a three-way
Next
pond.
year,
Yeah,
Aaron.
you know, it's so easy for you guys to say that when you live just, a short jaunt away from New Jersey. Michael,
Oh, let me
like,
tell
yeah,
you.
but when we
Traffic
go
I
to
hit
San
on the way
Diego,
there.
we got just as far to travel.
okay, well, when's the last time you went to San Diego, Graham?
2016.
A year ago.
Yeah, okay.
Last year.
But Ron was there last year. There you go.
Yeah. Were you there last year or was it the year before?
Last year.
Did you come by and talk to me? Did you say hi?
No, I
Hell
came
no.
in. No, I
Yeah,
didn't see
see? Look at that. Look
you.
at that.
Was it last year?
I think it was the year before because you did come by and see me 2 years ago.
Mm-mm. No, it was last year. Because they announced the Berserker action figure and McFarlane came on stage with us and everything. It was last year.
Lynn Green says only that they were she's answering a question. It's possible Gary Seven's bosses called the Aegis in the novels might be descended from them. Huh. That's an interesting discussion that we missed.
Lynn Green, she's from Orion. She knows stuff.
That's true. The Preservers.
I'm definitely Spock in that photo, Danky Frankie.
No, you're Non or Ton or
Stan.
Stan. Yeah, Stan.
Ron,
I'm Stan.
Oh yeah, Stan. You're Ron. Unfortunately, that makes me to
I
cringe.
failed to see the logic in choosing Stan over me.
Come on, Stan.
If you were to go, you would not have me, and Stan would still be there.
Stan would still be there.
Your logic is flawless. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He should have given her the neck pinch right there. Just got
Like, I am honored. What was I going to say about that obelisk?
It's pretty cool. Oh,
What's the
you
best
notice
part of
that
the show?
lake? You know the lake that they kept showing?
Mm-hmm.
You know where you've seen that before? The opening of the Andy Griffith show. That's the lake that
Is that really the same lake?
Yep.
No shit.
Really?
yeah, that's the
Wow,
lake
that's
that they
so
skip
cool.
the stones over.
Wow.
What lake is it? Where is it at?
Cool.
Well, it's in California. Let me see if
They had to be in Northern California, didn't they? For those trees? They had
That's
to be.
awesome. to know.
Oh no, it was very close to the Paramount Studios.
With trees like that, really?
Yeah, up in there, you have the redwoods and this. If you go further north, there's a lot of that.
Well, that's what I
It's the-
said. It had to be Northern California, but Graham's
No.
saying no.
It's in the Hollywood Hills, Upper Franklin Canyon in the Hollywood Hills, one of the
Well, it's
largest
all burnt
freshwater
down.
reservoirs in Los Angeles. It
Wow.
provided the scenery for the opening title sequence in the Andy Griffith Show, and was the lake where Andy Taylor and his son Opie skims rocks.
Wow. I
It's
never
all
would have thought
burnt
that was
to a
in.
crisp now, though. There's nothing left of it.
Probably.
Yeah.
God, I never would have thought that. I thought that was Northern California for sure. And I thought, man, they spent a lot of money going up to Northern California like to get those shots. But
They
wow,
did not have the money to spend.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
it was a nice looking episode. It was a friendly episode. It was more of a vacation type episode. But
It's not all that bad. I've seen
It is
worse.
not.
oh,
I
it's
think that
I have to say, rewatching it today, and I haven't seen it in a long time. I was pleasantly surprised at that it was better than I thought it would be. Now there's plenty.
I
of
had
stuff
to
make
compare
fun
that with the one with the chick
of. Oh,
Scotty's in love with. I would go with
the
that.
Lights
This
of Zatar. Is that
Yeah,
it?
this one's 10 times better than that.
Yeah.
Well-
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's the only thing that I'm hesitant about giving this too low of a grade when we get there, is because there's some really crappy episodes this season.
Yeah, you have to.
The first two episodes I thought were outstanding and were better than most of the second season for me. Spectre of the Gun and Elan of Troyes. I thought they were really, really great.
I didn't mind this one so much because I do like the idea that he falls in love, but he doesn't really know who he is. And, I mean, it's an interesting, like I said, concept. How would you, it means that you don't have to know who you are or have a memory of who you are to still have feelings for someone. And I think he just, not knowing who he wasn't bound by any of the the duties or the responsibilities other than what they put upon him as being this God. He doesn't even know what he's doing. So I didn't think it was a bad concept at all. I just think it needed to be, it probably would have made a better, longer, if there was some more conflict in it with something, out in space, or, I don't know, just some more conflict would have made it, action would have made it a little better. But
I think we had two stories going on at the same time. You had the asteroid and the Enterprise's dilemma, and then you had Kirk and his dilemma, and then you're forcing the two to come together to round out the story. And neither of those two stories were so great that it makes it a great episode, but there was aspects of the space stuff that were really good, that kind of make up for some of the shortfalls, I think, in the Indian stuff.
Yeah, you got to wonder if they'd sort of economized the story a little bit more, and you had more time with Kirk. If at least for me, if I would have bought the scenario a little bit more, if it'd just been a little bit better developed, and maybe not spend as much time trying to destroy the asteroid, even though that by it in and of itself was, like you said, probably the most interesting part of the episode, but at least visually. And the stuff with Spock was interesting as well. I thought McCoy, I don't know, a lot of times I find McCoy funny, but I thought he was kind of an a-hole in this episode. I thought it was like, he didn't even give Spock a chance, before he was jumping all over him, and it's like, dude, just relax a minute.
Back off.
We talked about in the captain's log about how this is the only episode in which there's a greater span of time that happens.
Right.
Months go by. And yet they don't really do anything to give you that sense of time. Because 1 minute, Bones is yelling at Spock, that he's not doing enough for the captain, all that kind of stuff. And then the next minute he comes in and it's been a month later and he's telling him he needs his rest and all that kind of stuff. And he's more conciliatory and he's apologizing to him. Well, those things were right on top of each other. There's not a sense of time that's gone by. We didn't see other things happening that you could use as timing devices to give it a sense of this time is going by. Not even Kirk's sideburns or hair, or, something, Can
you imagine him with like a weave? He had longer hair, but
yeah, maybe give him the Indian hair.
Like they were there for like 2 months or something. Kirk's hair is all long like the Indians.
Yeah,
that would have been, and then he could have really hammed it up.
Yeah.
But the thing is I was thinking how, the whole American Indian thing. I mean, how did they explain that again as to why the similarities between the ancient?
These aliens took a race of people that were bound for extinction or something like that and took them and replanted them.
So they were from Earth, basically.
Yeah, they were real Indians.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because at least it felt, I will say, in that regard, even though they're kind of supposed to be aliens, but they're not. I mean, they're from Earth. At least it felt authentic in that regard. I mean, they felt like authentic people, except for the hair bands and the headbands and stuff. But as opposed to like the Apple, where everybody's got the cotton candy hair, and the weird mascara
and the red paint on them.
Yeah, so this felt okay in that regard. It felt like you could connect with that tribe pretty well, I thought.
There's an interesting commentary that I'm sure they didn't intend to make, but
I don't love the empath. Thank you, Frankie.
Oh,
I like it.
I
like it.
hate that.
That might be my
hate
least
that
favorite episode of all time is the empath.
I hate that episode.
Yeah, well, wait till 2 episodes from now, then we'll talk.
Okay.
Because that's and the children shall lead.
Oh,
God. All right.
That's a tough.
But back to this episode, gentlemen.
Yes. Thank you, Aaron.
Well, you got to use these other episodes to compare it. So that's why you have to make sure that your score is not biased. You know, it's not. You know what I mean? That you can.
Yeah, right. Because obviously, if I said this is a 1, then what are you going to give? The children shall lead, or
Negative.
Whatever.
Yeah. Negative.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, the point I was going to make was that you have this Indian civilization that's been transplanted from Earth. Literally at this point, I mean, they're in 21st century, right? So it'd been like several hundred years ago, and they haven't progressed a bit.
Well, how many generations of Indians have come and gone before them? You wonder.
Well, no, but my point is everybody cries about colonization, and yet it was Western European colonization that progressed all these other societies. Without it, they'd still be.
The people who are complaining about colonizations are just batshit crazy. I mean, it's just.
Well, I know, but
they also don't understand how the world works.
They don't. Yeah. They really don't. They just look at it through this lens of this stupid last 15 years of social justice lens. Yep. It's just idiotic.
But if you take a primitive tribe and put them in an enclosed environment, they're not going to progress.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why would they?
Yeah, there's no outside stimulus to force them.
Right. Exactly.
Well, it's like any life form. I mean, look at how many life forms exist on this planet that haven't evolved at all because they haven't had a need to. But I mean, look at crocodiles, for instance. They don't evolve. They're just the exact same things because their survival mechanisms are so effective.
Sharks too.
We didn't have that. So the thing that made us survive was our brains. That's the difference between the general animal kingdom and us, is that our ability to reason and see pattern recognition and things like that. A little aside, I know before Aaron shoved us back into this episode,
the ability to reason with logic.
I saw this footage of this cuttlefish, and it's in a tank, and it's somebody's feeding it a fish, so whoever the person is who owns it. And the cuttlefish starts mimicking the guy's face. So it has from the front, it has a human face. It's so freaky because they mimic their surroundings.
Yeah.
So when you see it comes up and it has a human face on it. And then when he gives it the fish, it relaxes into its normal state. So the eyes are here initially, and then they kind of come off to the side once he gives it the fish. It's so weird, man. Speaking of alien stuff, it's like,
well, if you want to talk about aliens on Earth, I think there is evidence, and they're called octopus.
Cuttlefish, the same thing.
Yeah, the octopus, you'll see that being chased or something, and it'll go and it'll lay on a rock, and then all of a sudden it turns into that rock, turns into the same color, and its speckles turn into the same thing of the rock, and you couldn't tell that was an octopus.
No, and it's so conscious on the octopus's part. It's like a conscious thing. It knows that it's doing. That's what's weird. It's not like just some random effect of evolution. The thing is thinking, I got to go pretend I'm something else, and it just disappears into the rock. It just it's wild that it instinctively knows to do that.
Do you ever see it unlock a jar to get a fish inside it?
Crab or whatever.
Yeah, and then it just goes right in there, comes back out.
Well, it figures it out. You see it figuring it out. And it also can fit through a hole this big.
Yeah.
Like a big one, and just squeezes itself through. It's crazy.
Like the raptors figuring out how to open the door in Jurassic Park.
Like Aaron's penis.
And on that note, I'm going to thank Bad Adam. Bad Adam $10 super chat. Aaron, stop texting Billy about seeing that dinosaur movie while you're on Graham's show. Billy ratted you out. Graham, here's $10 to try and make up for what Aaron just did. LOL.
What did you just do, Aaron?
I didn't do anything. Billy is closing out his campaign tonight, and he's probably saying stuff about me that is patently untrue. And now people are coming here going, "Hey, man,
Wait a minute,
I've
Aaron.
touched
Billy
my
doesn't
family."
lie. Billy doesn't lie.
He's the most honest person I've ever met.
I don't even know what he's got a campaign going. I don't pay attention to anything on social media.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
why is
closing out a
this-
campaign tonight.
Yeah. But here we are,
You do.
fighting the good fight, talking about Miramani or Quiramani, as the case may be.
Query Manny.
Query Manny and Kirk.
And Kirk!
Yeah, Kirk. I am Kirk.
Oh, did you get the ADZ80s, the $5 super chat there, Graham, that said the needs of Ron outweigh the needs of the Aaron or the Nolan?
Oh no, I missed that one. Hold on here. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Adds 80. The needs of Aaron outweigh the needs of the Aaron and the Nolan. Or the needs of the Ron outweigh the needs of the
The
Aaron.
needs of the Aaron or the Nolan.
Wonder what needs those are. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Ron.
Oh
Come
my
on, Ron.
God, Aaron.
Ron.
Come on, you and your virgin ears.
Oh, they're just bleeding. They're getting all over my white beard.
Aaron's ears bleeding in mine.
All right.
Right.
So what do
What's
you
your,
think? Let's give some grades here.
I think this episode is silly and I still cringe while I watch it. And yet I know that there are many episodes that are worse than this one coming up. Not many, but a few. And so if 5 is average, I do think this is a below average episode. I'm going to go 4. That's what I'm going to do.
oof.
I don't like it.
He says with such conviction.
I
Hmm.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Well, you're gonna have to go way low on the other ones then.
Oh, I'll go low.
That's what I
Okay.
do.
What do you think, Ron?
Aaron has a real ability to go low. Low hanging fruit.
Ron.
What do you think, Quiramani?
Query Manny. I'm gonna go a little higher than that. I didn't mind it. It was very idyllic, and I didn't mind that, for all its flaws, it was a softer episode from some harder episodes like Elaine of Iran of Groinus before us. That was a hardcore episode, so this was a kind of I love American Indians, I guess.
This was a not so.
And I didn't mind the love
Yeah.
story between him and Miramani. I thought it was moving at the end, and she's like, "I will bear you many sons." I thought that was charming,
Yeah.
and I felt for her.
Your kisses are as if the first.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
I like
I was moved by it. I didn't think it was.
Mm-hmm.
It made me cut out all the other stuff. I mean, the bad parts of it. I just thought it was better than I think you're giving it credit for there. Aaron.
No, I'm not. I'm right on.
Oh
the
yeah, you are. You're just.
This is maximum suckage, man. This is the bottom of
No,
the
it's
barrel.
not. It's not
This is
Max.
bitter
Bottom of the
dreg.
barrel.
You're very
You have
shallow
no idea
person.
what the
This
bottom
this
You
is
need to stop
bitter
being so
dreg.
shallow. Stop being so shallow.
Oh, bitter dregs.
This is Aaron's second lowest
Bitter
thus
dreg.
far. Only alternative factor is lower.
What'd you give that?
I don't remember, but it wasn't much.
Would you give this a 4?
Yeah, I gave it a 4.
Well, you must have give alternative factor a 1 or a 2 or a 3 then.
Well, that's the worst episode
This
of the
is
first
by
2 seasons.
far
isn't it?
better than Alternative Factor.
It's
far.
better.
Oh yeah, it's a comprehensible story.
Anyway,
Hey, I think this is a below average episode. Below average is 4. There you go.
Hellraiser for $4.99. Not to change the subject, but I
Luckily-
missed Rose last night. Graham, I got my Joe Frankenstein, The Eye of Ra book, and it's awesome. Beautiful book. Thank you. Thank you, Hellraiser. Glad you got it and glad you like it.
Look at Fiction Method says it was a 2.25. So I'm not the only one.
Well, why don't you go move in with them?
Well, look at bitter Ron. We'll say bitter queer
Well, I
Amani.
look like a bitter man to you.
You sound bitter to me. Sound
Little
bitter.
bit. So, Ron, what
Yeah.
number did you give this? Did you give it a number yet?
Not yet. I would give it probably 6.5.
Oh,
6.5. I thought it was a good enough story. It was
Mhm.
entertaining enough. I mean, I didn't think it was the best thing I'd ever seen. I think the concept was pretty good. I liked this. I liked Miramani. She was smoking hot. I liked it. She was very believable in her adoration. Although it does speak to the nature of some females where they go like Trump said, just if you're in, if you're a famous guy, you can just do whatever you want, because she went right for the god,
yeah.
as opposed to the other guys in the tribe.
Yeah.
That's a mean thing to say. I don't really mean that, but anyway, I liked it for those reasons, so I'm willing to give it a 6.5.
Okay. I liked it as well. I thought there was some good stuff. I liked some of the tenderness in it. Some of the costuming, I thought, like the elastic, I got to give points off for that. But by and large, I think it's above average. So I'm giving it a solid 6.
I'm rethinking my grade. I'm going to go 3 now that I think about it.
Well, luckily, since you're the lowest grade, it gets tossed down. It's just between
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
like
It's a 6.25.
Graham brought up a good point, like knocking it down for costuming. But then that makes me think, should I give it a boost? Because that obelisk was really impressive.
Right.
There you go.
And the Enterprise and the asteroid was impressive too.
Yeah, that's right. It was. I was watching it going, is this the remastered version? Because I bought the set on DVD. I think it's remastered, but I was like,
no, you could see that they were just being really creative with this new season, because they weren't supposed to have a third season.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, oh, it looks like they were just like having fun with the effects and like, let's try something different this season, and just change the effects and make it look a little better. They were probably, because of the influx of fan letters and things like that, to get it to a third season, they might have gotten a little more money for effects and things. So you could definitely tell that they were just having fun with it at that point, knowing that it was on borrowed time anyway. So, except for the scripts.
I'm going to get, you know what? You guys changed my mind. I'm going to give it a 5 because of the obelisk and the asteroid. But that I can't bear to go any higher.
That's what you originally gave it, was a 5.
Well, I said 4.
No, you said 5, then you said 4, and then you came back.
Well, I'm back to 5 then, because the obelisk I was stunned at that. I thought for sure that had to have been something that already existed and they just redressed it. So when I found out they made it, okay. All right. 5. That's average.
How does it compare to the obelisk in 2001? It's completely.
Talk about it.
What's interesting is that 2001 came out 2 months before this.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. They filmed it 2 months before this and came out like 5 months before this one aired. But they both dealt with this obelisk from an ancient race.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
2001 was
then of
slightly
course you had
better.
Gary Lockwood in it too, from the first Star Trek or the second Star Trek pilot, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
I hate that movie though.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
Yeah.
And
You hate that movie?
I can't stand that movie. Here she is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I know, better late than never. What movie do you hate?
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Why do you
Oh my
hate
God,
that?
I thought I was the only one.
Why do you hate that?
It's boring as shit.
It is boring, but the monkey part at the beginning is cool.
It's not boring at all. No, that's just my
It is boring.
How
And
many times
then
did
you
you
get
see a bunch
into
of
the
monkeys?
existential crap at the end.
It's not boring only because it forces you to try to figure out what the hell's going on. Like by the time it gets to the end and he's in the obelisk and you see it's so confusing. You don't know what the ending's supposed to be about. So it's intriguing in that respect. You're kind of like, what?
When 2010 has to explain what happened in 2001, then we got problems.
I liked 2010. It had John Lithgow and Roy Scheider in it, and that was enough for me.
I'll see anything with Roy Scheider in it.
Yep.
But the effects weren't as good.
No.
And they were much better in 2001.
Yep.
I didn't.
Yeah, I agree, Dangy
I don't
Frankie.
like the fact that Roy Scheider was in 2010.
You don't like that he was in it?
No, I don't, because all I can think of is Jaws. He's too identifiable with me with
Ah.
Jaws and that other movie that he was in.
The 7-Ups?
No, the one where he plays the guy who gets killed on the street. What the hell's the name of that one?
Marathon Man.
Marathon. And
Did you guys already give your ratings for this episode?
Yes, we were
We
waiting
did.
for you.
Oh no. How bad was it?
Well, wait a minute. Let's hear your take on this episode.
Yeah, give us your take and your grade.
Okay, my take on this episode is that it's like I describe it as like the biggest blue ball episode you can get because it starts off really interesting. It's like, ooh, you got an alien planet where they stole Native Americans, so they planted them. There's this obelisk thing, which looks all fancy. Kirk falls in it. You have the dynamic between Spock and McCoy. They got to save this planet, but they have to leave Kirk. It's great.
Right?
Everything with Spock and McCoy is awesome. If you just
Right.
watch that part of the episode and are just wondering what the heck's happening to Kirk, it's really good. But then William Shatner is like, ooh, we got a Playboy bunny on set. You know? Then it just becomes like, I don't know, a really bad, I don't know, not even a rom-com, but like I don't know, one of those like Lifetime movie things. And then there's that scene between her and the Native American dude, and he's like, even if like you weren't gonna have to be with him, would you choose me? And she's just like, doesn't say anything. It's like,
yeah,
bruh,
just kind of walks away.
Disses him. That
bruh,
hurt.
she's just not that into you. And then McCoy, with all of his technology, can't save a chick from getting hit with a rock.
I know. I was thinking the same thing too.
It's a rock. That's why I
Right.
put in the private chat earlier. I was like, a rock 1, McCoy 0.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's
he ends up putting Spock's brain back in, so he can't.
I know.
He can't fix a brain, bleed or something.
It was just like just to get rid of Kirk's family
Child.
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So there was stuff in it that was really good. Everything they set up with the aliens was far more interesting than the Native American stuff. I don't even know why that really had to be in it. Like it would have been more interesting just Kirk lost his memory and he's trapped in that excuse me, trapped in the obelisk. And
Right.
it's like a mouse in a cage kind of thing. That would have been interesting, but William Shatner wanted to hang out with the Playboy bunny, so
it would have been really cool.
Those are very solid.
They gave him all
man.
kinds of powers, like Apollo.
thanks. You sound shocked.
Well, because of some of your grades, it is shocking. But you make some great points.
I'm glad you came in like that, Anna, because they were giving me a hard time for not liking this episode. But at least now I have a comrade in arms here.
Well, listen,
Wait, you said there's a lot of great stuff in it. So I guess the bottom line is, where do you stand? Where is your number?
I'd rather watching it back. It's not as bad as I remember, and that's because of the stuff with McCoy and Spock.
Right.
And I don't know if you really just, go to the bathroom or get snacks during the Indian stuff, then it's a little bit more tolerable.
I love it.
But I would probably give this either like a 4.5 or a 5. It's not as bad as other episodes, but I don't know.
Wow. We are, what do they call it? Simpatico?
Oh, was that like the exact score that you gave it?
I gave it a 4, but then I changed my mind because the obelisk was so cool. I thought that deserved a little bit more. So I ended up giving it a 5.
Yeah.
I gave it a 6, and Ron gave it a 6.5.
He wanted to give it an 8, but I talked him down one of those. Come on, Ron.
Once Ron learned
the Playboy bunny.
When Ron learned it was a Playboy bunny, he gave it a 6.5.
Yeah, exactly. It went.
Nothing wrong with that.
We were all commenting.
Yeah, but it was a 4 before.
Yeah. We were all commenting on how nice her legs were, and then it grammar. Well, she was a Playboy bunny. We're like,
it does nothing for me. So.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the point, though.
But it does
the
for us.
Playboy bunny aspect is not going to up my score.
Yeah.
I just understand why William Shatner was like, let's have more scenes with her.
So if Henry Cavill was in this episode
Yes.
as Captain Kirk, what would your score be?
Uh,
Yeah, you know what, Anna? So Anna, you find William Shatner attractive?
no, I mean he's not my type, but.
But Henry Cavill obviously is.
Somebody get that sound effect.
He's really pretty.
Henry Cavill.
I think he has that effect on just about every woman he encounters.
He is an unbelievably good-looking guy. You know.
Yeah, and you know what sucks? Have you ever seen his brothers?
Oh no.
No.
They look like trolls.
So it just all worked out for him, and it didn't for the rest of the family.
My son looks a lot like Henry Cavill. It's weird. He's got blondish hair, but his facial features are very similar.
It's like what's it? The Hemsworths. You know, there's like 3 brothers, and 2 of them, you know, are studs, and then the one brother is like the troll.
Yeah, it's like
Here, I'm going to show you guys a picture of Henry Cavill and his brothers, and they don't even look like they were spawned from the same humans.
Spawned.
Like it's extremely unfortunate. Oh, why is this not a higher resolution? You used to be able to just pick this picture up. Okay. So I would be pissed if I was his brothers and be like, Mom and Dad, you guys gypped. I don't know if you guys can see that. I tried opening
Can you blow it up?
Let's get
You can
this.
barely see it.
Maybe.
Yeah,
That's
do Command Plus. Okay.
They don't look like they're from the same.
I know.
They look like each one of them looks like they have a different father.
Yeah.
I know.
Is that his mother?
Yeah, that's his mom.
Oof.
She's British. What do you expect? They don't age well.
They don't age well.
But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So they had 5 boys, and only one of them is Henry Cavill.
Wow.
That is really bizarre.
Yeah, the only one who comes sort of, well, it's hard to say. None of them really come close to him.
No, they
I mean,
all
the
look
one
like
guy to
trolls.
his right, you know, maybe he's got the kind of squarer jaw.
Yeah, but he's betrayed by that honker.
Yeah,
the
totally
nose.
different nose.
If you
It
took
looks like he'd be a Bond. The brother there on the right, on his right, looks like he could be a Bond villain, though.
It just like, oh my God, 5 tries and you only got one good looking kid. Like it does.
The
Well,
mother looks like English Jill Biden.
think though, all of them though are looking at Henry, and they're all trying to grade themselves in order. And this poor bastard to the left of the mom, well, to our right of the mom, with the blue tie, he's like, "Fuck," because he's probably the least of them.
Well, he looks like he's losing his hair too. The one guy that's losing his hair in the family, he's just like, God, bummer.
What's his dad look like?
Let's see. I think there's a picture with all of them. Let's see.
Well, that one down there looks a little bit like him.
There's his dad right there. His dad's just
the one right to the left of that with the blue shirt. Like you can
the
see
one that's balding. This is his father.
You can see the resemblance a little bit in that picture.
That's hard, you know. It's
The rest of them are just
so.
not even close. The other guy in that picture to his left looks like Hugh Jackman a little bit.
Yeah. Look at that square jaw, though. Those.
Billy Baldwin all the way there.
This is the brother that's balding. I think that's the youngest brother. I'm not sure of the ages, but yeah, it's oh yeah, this is the meme of it.
I remember that one. That episode.
Yeah, I pointed this out years ago, and people were giving me a hard time, and I'm just like, no, they look like trolls, and then Henry's just beautiful and perfect. It makes no sense how the genes dispersed.
It's
very strange.
Like, could you imagine, like, that's your brother and you look like one of them? I'd be so pissed off at my parents.
That's hysterical.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, if Henry was in this episode, 10 out of 10. Fantastic. Great time.
Okay.
Henry Cavill as the Indian with
Yeah.
no memory.
Henry
Tim-
Cavill as Miramani.
Oh my god. Then I'd really understand why Kirk wanted to stay on that planet.
Oh, there you go.
So if Henry Cavill was Kalish, the Indian witch doctor who Kirk steals his job from, and he ambushed Kirk and had to fight him, would you root for Kalish to win?
Oh, of course, it's Henry.
Well, you're honest.
Yep.
I feel like I've just been like marinating in Anna's juices for the last 10 minutes.
What?
What?
Hey, I did not bring up Henry
She's been
Cavill.
juicing over Henry Cavill to
Oh,
such a degree.
Hey, Graham
like
brought up Henry Cavill, not me.
Dripping off of.
Yeah, I was trying to get a sense of just where she felt on that storyline, if it changed a little bit.
Listen, that Man of Steel movie is absolute crap, but if you watch it with the sound off and you just look at him, it's a pretty great movie. Same way. So I did a cut of The Witcher and I just cut out all the scenes that Henry's not in, and it's much better. Just saying. I have priorities, gentlemen.
How does Peaches okay with you feeling like,
He thinks it's funny. So,
okay.
but also it's a celebrity crush kind of thing. It's not real.
Yeah, I still don't engage in that crap.
No?
But anyway, so what was your grade? 5?
I guess I'll go with a 5.
All right. And Aaron, you're a 5?
Yeah, I changed to a 5 for the sake of the obelisk.
For
Okay.
the sake of the obelisk.
So we throw out 1 5, so we got a 6, a 6.5. So
mine's out in the Aaron score.
Oh, you throw the high and the low out?
Yeah, and then you come to whatever is the.
So you got a 6 and a 5, so 5.5.
5.5. Yep.
All right.
I could live with that, I guess.
Yeah. It's better than average. We got some real below average ones coming up.
Yeah.
So
Can't wait.
That's probably why I gave mine a 6.5, because the other ones are so atrocious, and I never want to give any of them like a 0 or a 1. But
Listen, nothing is worse than The City on the Edge of Forever.
Oh
Yes.
my
Yes,
god!
there is.
you had all these great points. You had all these great points about this episode, and then you ruin it.
Yeah, bad tape. I went out and bought, because I don't have Paramount anymore, and I rented the last week's episode, or bought it off Amazon Prime or whatever for $2. And I went, if I do this with every episode, it'd be cheaper just to buy the DVD set, because I have seasons 1 and 2, but I never bought the 3rd season because there's so many suck episodes in it. But now I went out and did it for the sake of this show. So now I've got them all, the remastered DVDs.
I just bought all of the entire Next Generation for like $20 on Fandango. So it goes into my digital account. And I started watching it at like the beginning of the 3rd season.
Oh, I hate Next Gen. Ugh.
Yeah, I started with the Borg stuff.
Well, are we gonna watch that
No.
after this is done?
No.
We're gonna we'll have a meeting and we'll figure out what
It
direction.
would be nice to do movies,
Well,
Yeah, we're gonna do the movies.
We watched
instead of a whole
the
TV
Star
show.
Trek
We might
movie.
get more viewers if we're doing movies that are coming out. That way, it gives us an incentive to go to the movies. And
Oh, you mean, okay, I see what you're saying.
Upcoming
I think
new
you're
one.
talking about the Star Trek movies, but
You
you're
want me to
talking about
leave
the
my
Star
house?
Trek movies in general would be fun
Yeah.
to do, and then it's a different thing every week rather than, the Twilight Zone's good for that because every episode is fairly different. It has a formula to it, and I love the show. However, it's a long series.
Mm-hmm.
But it
Gives
might
us
be
plenty
fun
of things to talk about.
What's that?
Gives us plenty of things to talk about.
Yeah, well, there are plenty of things to talk about.
Well, we could also do every episode that Shatner appeared in of Night Gallery and Twilight Zone and
No.
and the ones Leonard Nimoy appeared in, and
We could do sci-fi movies, or we could do, we could do anything.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have a meeting about it.
Yeah, we'll have a meeting about it. But okay, so we're wrapping this one up. We're over an hour now. And it looks like let's see what Fiction Method said. It is 5.6 something, I think he said. So not bad, not bad. Next week is the Enterprise incident, where we have Kirk with his bobbed ears or his pointed ears.
That's a good
So-
episode.
And another great Scotty line. Captain, you look like the devil himself. What's it all about?
There we go.
I
All right,
will not
gang.
be here. I will be camping in Tahoe. So
Oh,
I will
that's
see
right.
you guys the week after.
That's right. Okay, so you hear that, chat? Anna won't be here, so don't ask next week.
You
Yeah,
going on
don't
vacation?
We go camping every year the week after 4th of July up in Tahoe.
Well, that would be a great place for you to bring your, iPad and just do it from there.
Oh, yeah. The place where I have no service.
It'll look like this planet.
Yeah, it'll be like this
That is
episode.
true.
This will be your Miramani moment.
At least check in for a few minutes.
I don't think I'll have service.
Well, you gotta try.
Come on.
If I get service, I will try to pop in, but no guarantees.
Fair enough.
All right.
All right, gang. Thanks so much. We will see you next week. Have a good one and live long and prosper.